Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing okay. Definitely, this is unique times that we are having. However, it is not unique over the course of human history. And what has never changed, and of course is relevant to this class, is the essence of what is called an economy. So I think, especially with all the news you are hearing about, whether it's from the newspaper or the TV, or maybe radio, or just interaction with your fellow peers, I think it's most important we talk about the development of trade. So, what is trade? To economists, trade is exchange. And let's face it, we've talked about this from the very beginning. The more goods and services that I can acquire, the more utility I have. And we logically deduce the more utility there is, the better off society is. There's no denying that. However, I am limited. I am limited in my ability. I am limited based on my situation, whether it's luck, hard work, or whatever you want to give credit to. The fact is, we are limited. We exist under conditions of scarcity. So let's take a hypothetical two-person economy. We have person Mo. There's Mo over on the left. I love the Three Stooges growing up. They have so much social relevance. And Mo produces X. But of course, Mo, being human, wants more than what he produces. He would like Y. It just so happens in this two-person economy that Larry produces Y and he wants X. So what we have is what is referred to as the ability for these two players to engage in the most important thing, which is known as trade. And it is what is referred to as a coincidence of wants, meaning it just works out nice and cleanly that each one of our Homo economicus players have the ability to produce what the other themselves wants. And so what do we know about society? Bam, society is happy. Larry produces Y, wants X. He'll be able to trade with Mo X, which Mo has, for Y, which Larry has. Larry now gets what he wants. Mo gets what he wants. Once again, the world is a much better place. But fortunately, the world does grow. As I mentioned many times, economics is about people existing under conditions of scarcity. And people are a wonderful thing in any economy. So along comes, of course, Curly. And what we have is that we have a growing population, which means, as I've emphasized to you guys in class, more labor, more entrepreneur, more efficiency, more can be done under conditions of scarcity. So, Curly, of course, and Larry changes. We all change our minds. There is no denying that. Mo has X, he wants Y. And Larry has Y, but he does not want X anymore. He wants Z. And it just so happens that Curly has Z. So what could happen? Well, I guess Curly could trade with Larry. Larry would give Curly Y, and Curly would give Larry Z, and that would make Larry happy. But what the heck does that do for Curly? It doesn't do anything. What Curly wants, of course, has nothing to do with what the other three want. And what Curly produces has nothing to do with what the other two themselves want. So what do we have? We have a failure of coincidence of wants. So it would be nice, especially since nobody in the society produces that all wonderful donut, that if there was something in between that each one of our economic players would engage in trade for, which would allow them in most cases to buy Y, here we go, in the future. Larry's case may be to buy Z in the future, and or somehow come to an arrangement with Curly over here. And more importantly, Curly to somehow envision somebody producing something known as a donut in the future. And what would be the one thing that maybe they would willingly engage in trade for that they would not consume in the present? Well, it developed. It is something that we call money, ladies and gentlemen, money. Anything can be money. Hear it one more time, please. Anything can be money. End of story. As long as people in the economy willingly use it as an in-between from what they produce to what they want, it is called money. Point being, there could be many different types of monies in the economy, not just one. History has given us a lot of different examples of monies that are being used. So let's spend some actual time really discussing what is money. First important point, of course, is anything can be money. So what makes something better money than something else? We talked about three characteristics of good money. Good being subjectively defined, meaning society will take it. One is called a unit of account, as long as it's able to measure something. Another one is a medium of exchange, as long as someone else is willing to take it. And lastly, something that qualifies as good money probably is able to store its value over a long period of time. We've talked about often in class how definitely Mr. Wynn enjoys heavy whipping cream. It's just so delicious in the coffee. On the Belgian waffles, we whip them up some brownies during this coronavirus time. It is just fantastic. Does it qualify? Well, absolutely. I can give you a little heavy whipping cream. I can give you a lot of heavy whipping cream. I can give you any sort of a whipping cream above. I can divide whipping cream. It definitely checks off as a unit of account. At the same time, would anybody be willing to take whipping cream? I have no doubt. That'd be crazy not to, quite honestly. But Mr. Wynn, what if I'm allergic to heavy whipping cream and I would not take it? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, as always. It is what the society itself takes, not what an individual person takes. The fact remains more people would enjoy heavy whipping cream than those who would not enjoy heavy whipping cream. So I think I'm relatively solid, but not perfectly solid. Moral of the story, nothing is perfect money. Lastly, it comes down to store of value, and that's where I have a bit of a problem because there's something here called an expiration date. And an expiration date says that my money is only good for a limited period of time. It seems that heavy whipping cream kind of fails in the category of a store of value. It does not maintain its value over time. Even if it did, make sure you understand, I could use my heavy whipping cream for money, or I could use it to whip myself some actual whipping cream. That's what you understand. Money itself is a good or it's a service. So economists generally lump all historical types of money into two categories. They're referred to as fiat money. If you were to look that word up in the dictionary, fiat means by decree. That is when somebody else, some third party, whether it's this guy, or that guy, if we look at these historically supposed great world leaders, has decided what is money, and that's what's going to be, and there's nothing society can do about it. As long as the population follows the orders, then by definition, whatever these people have decreed to be money is money. It is money by fiat. Given the opportunity, however, society would always settle on what is known as commodity money. Commodity money is considered money because it has intrinsic value, meaning it is valued in something else. So if I take a look at this, where I notice you guys might claim to be gold, and gold historically has been used in money, recognize that gold also has a number of other uses. It's very pretty, so I could use it as jewelry. It looks fantastic. If I was to have a gold tooth, you guys would be amazed by me every time I talk. Gold is used in electronics, you name it. Point is, gold is a commodity money. It has value in other things. Segue to the fact that I think I need you guys to truly understand, especially when you talk here about a fiscal stimulus plan and all this money is going to be sent to adults and parents of children in the United States of America. It's called a fiscal stimulus package. We will talk about that later on as we head into April. The United States of America, every single one of those dollars is backed by, drum roll, here we go, amazing concept, nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, if overnight the US population was to look at every dollar bill and say, you know what, that is not money, then there's nothing the government could do. It's no longer money. But at the moment, we all, and many foreign nations, have always looked at the United States dollar as a bedrock of stability, still do use it as money. Maybe all this toilet paper that's been bought out at Costco and Sam's Clubs are used for money. I doubt it, but there's always a chance. So at the moment, even though our money supply, nothing's backed it, it just poof, comes out of thin air. And we'll talk about that. That's what we're going to use as money. And it's very important at this point in time, I introduce to you a good financial term that I would like you to become comfortable with. It is what is known as liquidity. What you need to recognize is that you are probably looking at your computer. Maybe there's a pencil next to you. Maybe you have a cup of coffee. You're sitting maybe in your parents' house. Every one of those, the computer, the coffee, the pencil in the house, by definition, could be turned into money when sold. It has what is known as liquidity to it. Now, which one of them could be more quickly turned into cash simply defines the liquidity of it relative to something else. So what is your most liquid form of money? It's probably the bills and the coins that you currently have up in your room. Your debit card has high liquidity to it because you could use your debit card easily for money. Credit cards are not money, for the record. Credit cards are loans. How about your car? How long would it take you to sell your car? Let's say hypothetically 3 weeks. Well, that takes a little longer than a debit card. So we would say that your debit card is much more liquid than your car. You probably forget this, but at this point in time, just be aware that the United States government takes all these types of monies and categorizes them. This is not to be on your exam, of course, but this is just to let you understand this. It's called the M1, M2, M3, M4, M5 money supply. As we go from M1 to additional levels of monies, we're adding more and more monies into the category that is less liquid. So what you are actually used to buying goods and services with, all those dollar bills and those coins, are simply part of what is known as the M1 money supply. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your introduction into the concept of money. Please take a look at a Google Classroom assignment, and I look forward to talking to you guys again in the next class. Have a great day.